What's going on, guys? Master Shields here, Champions Martial Arts Center. This is Talk Tuesday, episode 16. On today's show, we're talking about three things: safety, complaining, and how to talk to your kids about tragedy. Question number one: what advice would you give someone that complains a lot? Well, the most important thing I could tell you is stop. But if it was that easy to stop complaining, everybody would stop complaining. You know, one of the big things we do here at our school is after all of our birthday parties, we always have kids sit down with their parents and have different drills and challenges, but one of them is a complaining challenge. We want to find out how many times during the day do you complain. And I want you to do this with me as we're doing this video. I want you to take a piece of paper out and kind of go over your thoughts, kind of collect your ideas and thoughts throughout the day and see what you really complain about. You know, a lot of times we wake up and we're complaining that it's too hot or it's too early or something's wrong automatically when you wake up, or you know, the kids didn't get to sleep early enough, or you just didn't get enough rest, or you're tired, or you're hungry, or it's cold, or it's hot, or something. We complain about something. We're always in a complaining mode. A lot of times people just inadvertently, subconsciously complain when they don't really want to or mean to, but they do anyway. So think about this today. How many times did you complain? And really think about it. How many times did you complain about something? Maybe my significant other was upset today, or you know, lunch wasn't that good, or I don't like going to work because of this or that. And there's so many things that are right there in front of you. So I'm going to give you a challenge. I want you to write down every single thing that you complained about today. And then I want you guys to write the flip side of that. So maybe you woke up and said, man, it's just so hot in my house today. That would be a complaint. Now the flip side to that is, what's the positive? The positive of that scenario is you live in a house. You don't live in a cardboard box or under a bridge, or you know, you don't live door to door outside, you know, when it's raining and cold. You live in a house or an apartment or a condo or a townhome. You live inside of a building, right? You live in a structure that keeps you warm. You're hot. But think about this. People that went to sleep last night outside under a bridge, they were cold. They were wet. There was a lot of stuff that happens where they didn't have the same luxury of being hot. Now think about this. What else did you complain about? Maybe lunch wasn't that good today. It wasn't what you expected. Now think about this. There's people in different countries that didn't even get to experience lunch. They didn't get that because they didn't have any money, or they just didn't have the luxury of eating 3 meals a day, if not more. So I want you to do this. If you complain a lot, that's fine. It's a habit. You've created a habit that is not necessarily good, but it's an easy habit to fix. So throughout the day, write down different things you're complaining about. When you catch yourself complaining, write it down, or grab your phone and make an audio message where you kind of remind yourself of what you complained about. And then at the end of the day, go back and look at what you really complained about. Was it really worth complaining about that? And then write the opposite, write the flip to what you did. If you complained about, you know, your car not starting on time, or you being late to work because the kids were going crazy, what's the flip side of that? You have a job, you have a vehicle that can get you from point A to point B, you have kids, you have children. You know, think about the things you're complaining about, and there's so many positive flips to what you're not super satisfied with. I don't know how many people, you know, would be dying to be in your shoes, to have a warm house, to have a car that works, to have food on the table, to have kids. I know for the longest time my wife and I had a very hard time conceiving, and we lost some pregnancies, and it was just very devastating. So to see somebody else with kids was very hard, and that's what we longed so much to have, and now we're fortunate to have a daughter. But we're not complaining because of the things she does. We're thankful and we're happy because we have her. Think about that. What if you didn't have your kids? What if you know, God forbid you lost your kids? What happens then? Think about all the things you complain about and flip it. Question number 2, how do you stay safe in today's society? This is a very crazy question because there's so much stuff that's going around us that didn't happen 20, 30 years ago. You could go to the mall and not worry about, getting robbed or mugged, or worst case scenario, getting shot. There weren't no smartphones where you were worried about cyberbullying and different apps that your kids are using. There's so much stuff that's happening now that never happened 30 years ago. And so how do you stay safe? How do you keep yourself, keep yourself and your family safe and out of harm's way? That's a very difficult question because there's so many answers to that. Number one, I think it is absolutely vital to have some understanding of self-defense. Whether it's, having your kids in martial arts or self-defense classes, putting yourself in that as well. If you're, man, woman, doesn't matter. Put yourself in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class. Put yourself in a martial arts program where you're learning how to defend yourself. Because worst case scenario, something were to happen, I don't want you to panic and freak out because you don't know what to do. So that would be step one. Put yourself and your kids in martial arts classes to equip yourself with the tools necessary to protect yourself. Number two, you have to kind of understand what's happening around you. The biggest thing I think people don't do is be aware and attentive to their surroundings. If you look, if you're ever at Walmart or Fred Meyer or Target, and just sit in the parking lot and watch people. People leave the front of the store and they get on their phones immediately and they're looking down the entire time without ever paying attention to what's around them. Or you're fiddling with your purse, or you're not really watching your surroundings. So someone can easily come up behind you, grab your purse, grab you, grab your kids, and can just have a lot of problems. I watched the news about a week or so ago when there was a guy just in a random store and he tried to steal this lady's kid who was standing directly next to him. But if you watch the video, mom wasn't paying attention to her surroundings. Mom was busy looking at what was on the shelf while the little girl was kind of just fiddling around next to her. And it was a hard scenario, it was a hard situation to watch. And then as you watch it, mom's trying to get her daughter back with one arm and still hold her purse. Let your purse go. This is your kid. Be aware of your surroundings. How do you stay safe when everything around you seems to be crumbling? You have to be aware of what's going on around you. Have black belt vision, have black belt eyes, and always keep your eyes on everything. If someone's walking towards you, kind of have an idea of what could happen, what's best case, what's worst case. What are you going to do if they did something? What is your plan of attack? What are you going to do in that scenario? Number three, I believe it's important to keep your cell phones and keep your cyber self safe. By having antiviruses and watching what you're doing online, watching the apps your kids have on their phone. If you missed our one of our previous videos about that, there's a lot of dangerous apps that your kids have on their phones that probably you and I had no idea what they were. So pay attention to that. Be aware of what's happening around you because there's so much stuff that's going on around us that we can't control. You can't control someone else's thoughts, someone else's actions, someone else's plans. You can't control that. You can control yourself and you can control your family. So you have to do whatever it takes to keep yourself safe and your family. Understand what's going to happen, what could happen, and what the potential threats are. If you're in a home, make sure you're protecting your home. Security systems are great. Security cameras are great. But you have to one up that level. The biggest places of entry for burglaries are the front door and your back sliding glass door. A lot of people don't have a bar in their sliding glass door, so someone could just pop that door open and now you're in trouble. I've seen on Facebook in the past month or so, there were multiple break-ins, in the area, and they all came in from the back door, the back sliding glass door. So if you know where these potential threats are, you can prevent them. I'm a big believer in prevention. Rather than defending something, prevent it from even happening. Prevent all these things. If you drive a Tesla, if you drive a $60,000, $70,000 vehicle and you're parking it in your driveway, you're asking for someone to come up and look at your vehicle. At least you're drawing eyes and attention. Put it in the garage. Look at everything from someone else's perspective, just to see what could someone potentially think if they look at me, my house, my vehicles, what's going to happen, what could happen, and what are the possibilities. Think positive and think negative. Think every scenario and really work your way around that. Protect yourself. Get in martial arts classes. Understand your surroundings by having black belt vision. Watch yourself and your kids' activities online and their cell phones and smart devices. That's truly going to keep you safe. You really can't change society. You can't change anybody else, but you can protect and you can change yourself. Question number 3 is probably one of the most controversial questions that I've been asked to date. A very difficult question, but a very important question. Question number 3, how do you talk to your kids about tragedy? Over the course of the weekend, we all witnessed the biggest massacre in United States history. Whether you believe, whether you accept, whether you are in agreement with someone's lifestyle choice, with someone's decisions, with someone's actions, we have to understand these are human beings. These are people that were brutally murdered. And this is a very tough time for a lot of people. This is a huge tragedy, and unfortunately this probably isn't the last one that we're going to see in our lifetime. So how do you talk to your kids about that? A lot of times parents want to brush things under the rug and just not talk to their kids about these things, but they're going to see them somewhere, some way, somehow. If they go to their friend's house and they're watching TV, if they're on a smartphone, a tablet, if they're watching YouTube, there's always going to be some sort of outlet for that. And so kids are being exposed to so much stuff that we have to talk to them. And again, I'm a huge believer in prevention rather than defending something. So again, like I said, if you don't agree with someone's lifestyle, if you don't agree with someone's choice, if you don't agree with someone's decision, the one thing you and I both can agree on is people are important. People are valuable. Human beings are the most important creatures that we have. Think about this. I don't know how many times I've been on Facebook or just talking to people, and people get so upset and so frustrated whenever they see animals being hurt, whenever they see someone abusing animals, and they get so angry about that. But over the course of the weekend, we witnessed, this crazy tragedy. But on Facebook, you see a lot of mixed reviews. You see a lot of mixed things. I saw someone on Facebook post something that just made my jaw drop and say, how could you post something like this? That's not right. That's not okay. But people tend to fight what they don't believe in, and they tend to fight and get upset at what they don't agree with. And again, I'm not saying you have to agree or believe in everything. You're not. You and I are going to have disagreements on what we believe in, what our belief system is, and what we think is okay and what isn't okay. But at the end of the day, what is important is human beings lost their lives. Brothers, sisters, fathers, daughters, mothers, sons. They're not going home. They don't get the opportunity to spend another day with their loved ones. They don't get to see their family again because of someone else's actions. And so how do you talk to your kids about that? How do you tell your kids what just happened? 30 years ago, the golden rule was just etched in the children's brains. Every single person knew that the golden rule was something that you lived by. That was the standard. Now, kids don't even know what it is. I don't know how many times I do a school talk and I ask kids, how many of you guys know what the golden rule is? And 3 of them raised their hand. We have to teach our kids the golden rule. Treat other people the way that you want to be treated. That's important. I had a 4-year-old student tell me his definition of the golden rule is to treat other people as if they were important. Think about that. Treating other people as if they're important. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them, they're a human being and they're still important. So we have to teach our kids that, because if we don't teach our kids that, what's going to happen 30 years from now? Will one of our kids be in that scenario, in that situation? So how do you talk to them about it? You talk to them about preventing things. You teach them about right and wrong. You teach them morals, you teach them ethics, and you talk to them about what they should do, their actions. A lot of times kids develop their own personalities based on you and I. So if you're at home bashing people and you're at home saying certain words and doing certain things, your kids are picking up on that. Your kids are going to go to school and they're going to do the exact same thing. You know, if you've ever seen your kids try and dress like you at home just to try and be like mom or dad, think about what they're learning from what you're saying, what you're doing. That's huge. And so talking to your kids about tragedy doesn't have to be a difficult conversation. You don't have to go in detail and be elaborate about what specifically happened and telling them all the details and intricacies of the scenario, but you could tell them, hey, you know, honey, this weekend there was a bad man that did some bad things to some people. The people. That's important. Make sure they understand people. People are important. A bad man did bad things to a lot of people, and they're going to ask you why. You know, and then from there you talk to them about right and wrong, and right decisions and bad decisions, and being the kind of person that you want them to be. What kind of person do you want your children to be in 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, 1 year? Think about that. You have a lasting impact on your children's life based on the teachings that you show them, the things you tell them, the things and conversations that you have will impact them. So how do you talk to them about it? You talk to them about their decisions, their choices. You teach them what they should be doing rather than what they shouldn't be doing. And you set an example for them to live by. You set an example for them to follow because you want to be the role model in their life. You don't want to be the non-existing parent that catches wind of what they did from somebody else. You know, you want to have positive role models for your kids. You don't want to abandon them based on their choices and decisions. You want to set the standard of what they should be. Talk to your kids, teach them right and wrong, teach them morals, teach them ethics, and most importantly, teach them the golden rule. Make sure every child knows the golden rule. Any one of your kids' friends that comes over to your house, talk to them about the golden rule. Because if we can teach our children that now, we can change the future. We can't change what's happening right now in society, but if you think about it, our kids are going to be society in 30 years from now. Our kids are going to be the next presidents, the next senators, the next business owners, the next CEOs, the doctors, the nurses. But if they have a skewed judgment of people and decisions and they make wrong choices and bad thoughts, what's going to happen in 30 years from now? Will we as a whole, as a society, get better? Or are we going to continue going downhill? Think about that. Hey guys, I just want to say thank you for watching today's show. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life weekly, day in and day out, every Tuesday. Thank you for allowing me the time, and thank you for giving me your attention. You know, I want to make sure that everybody understands we are so honored and so humbled to be able to serve you weekly. You know, I love getting questions from parents. I love having parents tell me, hey, that show really impacted my child's life, or that show really taught me something about helping my kids or myself. It means the world to me. So keep asking questions, guys. You keep asking questions, and you know I'm going to keep answering them.